Jamie over at Devil's Details Diecast invited a group of builders to participate in a Cannonball Run Build Off based on the cars in the movie. The builders he invited, including himself, are Fat Guy Productions, Diecast Graveyard, Geauxbear's Diecast Workshop, Matchbox Garage, and Outlaw Speed Shop. And he invited me to do this Ferrari 308, which I was thrilled to be chosen to do this car because it's the one that was driven in the movie by Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. And I probably shouldn't admit to this, but my wife and I always loved listening to Dean Martin music on Sunday mornings. So I'm particularly partial to this car because of that. Plus, I love Ferraris. So I had this Hot Wheels Racebait 308 casting. And obviously, it's well worn. It's got some stickers on it and ugly tampos, and there's fuzz stuck into the stickers. And about the only thing that was bad, though, is the glass. You can see it there. It has an odd, like, melted section. So I ended up getting another casting to pull a glass out of. That's other casting. I ended up ordering one off eBay so that this casting I had already. But I ended up ordering another casting that all it needed was a good glass in it, and it did. So I ended up replacing the glass, and those wheels are obviously totally inappropriate. So on this one, this needs to be, unless, hopefully you're familiar with the movie, but this ends up being Ferrari red, which I love. And it had a camel-colored interior, black dash, the Targa top, the removable top. And so I don't physically remove the top. If you check out scenes from the movie, the top was on the vehicle. And so I'm simulating that Targa top as we go along here. So it had some casting lines that needed to be cleaned up. So I go through the typical process of cleaning up the casting, getting it ready for paint. Once I file everything down, I like to go over them with a Scotch-Brite pad. And so here you see it right after that. And it's looking pretty good. I was pretty happy with it at this point. There wasn't any real abused sections to this one. So there it is after I hit it. And all of this is done with rattle can. I sprayed it with Tamiya TS85 red. And then to add some detail to the casting, I'm using a Gundam marker there. I do a lot of the details with Citadel paint and some Army Painter paints, as you'll see as we go along here. The casting itself has the metal body and a metal base. It's held in place with, you see the one post, it's a narrow little post. And then the front half of the chassis plugs into an opening in the front. I masked off the top section because that's going to be hit with matte black. And so at this point, I'm about to clear coat it, so I masked that off. And then the base, I had sprayed that with matte black Rust-Oleum. Then I masked it off because I wanted this back area to be red like it is on the actual vehicle. So I spray paint that again with the Tamiya TS85 red. This worked out pretty well. And then once I have that ready, then I can start adding detail to it. Like I said, this was all done with rattle can, so I masked off the rest of the body there and hit that with Rust-Oleum flat black, as you'll see later. And while that's drying, I start adding details to the base. The body itself because of the way it's structured, a lot of the detail is actually on the base section. I chose not to color in the really ugly little license plate they have on here. And I figured, well, heck, as they're running across the country, who knows what license plate they want to put on there. So I did paint the back bumper with flat black Citadel paint. And then it's interesting because for the lights on the back, as you saw earlier, I used the silver Sharpie to put down a base. And then the centers are red. The turn signal indicators, I used the Tamiya clear orange, as you see here. And then what I end up doing, because the center of the turn signal indicators is white or silver, it's the backup lights are actually in the center of those lights. So I end up adding a little dot after that dries of silver. And then I also use the silver Sharpie on the front for those turn signal indicators, and then put the Tamiya clear orange over that. There you see the clear glass that I was able to obtain. That was probably the best part of this other casting that I ended up getting, was the glass. The casting itself wasn't in great shape, but fortunately it had a nice, and it's clear glass, it isn't tinted in some color, so I couldn't have asked for anything better. I did hit it with the gauzy to freshen it up a little bit. It always gives it a nice, shiny, beautiful appearance. The interior, I ended up masking off because, as I mentioned before, it had a camel-colored interior. And I do bop around on this. You're seeing as I kind of go through the process, and I bop all around back and forth. There I'm putting the silver on those backup sections that I was mentioning before. And I did hit little black dots for the exhausts. Now I did spray paint that interior middle section the lightest brownish color I could find, and it just wasn't right. So then I ended up going over it with Citadel paints to give it the camel-colored interior. It's interesting because the top's black, the pillars are black, and the dash is black, but the rest of the interior was camel-colored. I do replace the wheels. Fortunately, I had axles that would slide straight in, and the wheels are Ferrari wheels. What I end up doing to hold the axles slide right through the notch that was already there perfectly. One end of the axle already had the cap on it. The other side, I just ended up gluing a little cap in place just to hold the wheel. It doesn't cause the wheel to lock up at all, but it just keeps that the wheel from falling off the axle. So as I mentioned before, all of this is rattle can painted, and so there you see the Tamiya TS85, the Minwax clear, and then the Rust-Oleum matte finish. There's the matte top, and then the pillars are hand painted with Citadel matte black. Drop in the clear glass. Then you can see the camel interior on that. And I did do some detailing on the interior, some of the dash. And then you'll see how that front hooks in. It pushes in through an opening in the front, and then the back drops onto the post. Again, it was an exceptionally small post, so I had to use a smaller screw than the usual 256. I'd like to thank Jamie again for hosting this. This was fun. And love the movie. Love doing the car from the movie. Be sure and check out all the other builders participating in this, as well as Jamie's channel. Check out what he built. And links to all of the other builders will be listed below, including Jamie's page, all of the other builders. And I hope you enjoy all of these. Here's where we started on this. And it was kind of beat to hell and sticky and fuzzy. But I hope you like where it ended up. Let's just say it's definitely better than this. There's the finished product. I'm really happy with it. It turned out pretty much exactly as I hoped. So hopefully you like this build. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe. Check out some of the other builds I've done. Again, be sure and check out all of the other builders. They do excellent work, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they did. I'd also like to take a moment to thank my Patreon members for their support through all of these builds. Hopefully they enjoy all of these too. And here's some Glamour Shots. That I ended up just painting a little simulated Ferrari logo on the front there, the emblem. Thanks again, everybody, for watching these videos. Again, be sure and check out all the other builds. Thanks again, Jamie. And we'll catch you in the next one. Everybody stay safe and healthy out there.